Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the wide, wide world of tabletop sports. Brian Martin with you on a rainy Wednesday afternoon here in the prairies of Illinois, bringing you a special Chris Schenkel Invitational five bowlers step ladder final of this. I picked five bowlers from the 1980 set using six-pack bowling by Hot Stove Games, and I've chosen my five favorite bowlers from the 1980 season, and we've already seeded them according to average for the year. And so we're going to play a stepladder final, and we have Marshall Holman, Johnny Petraglia, Nelson Burton Jr., Mark Roth, and Earl Anthony. Anthony sits in the number one spot. He's waiting for someone to climb the ladder and challenge him. Now, before we get started, some of our customers and fans have been following along in the Delphi forums. There has been talk of a PC version of six-pack bowling. This is not that. This is the test game that I put together so that I could test out the game, play around with it, and see how things go. And this is not available to anyone. This is an Excel spreadsheet of my own. But I will tell you that we are working with a programmer, working out just answering questions and getting some basic data shared to see if six-pack bowling would be something that would be able to be converted into a PC game. I think it can be, and whether or not we can do all the things that we want to do with the game in terms of tournaments and league play and keeping statistics and all those fun things. So that is in the works, but it's not official, and once we have something more official, we will let you know exactly what that official status is. So we're going to play these games out. And this does all the same rolling that you have in the regular game. It's just it's done on a computer screen so that you can read it and follow along. Otherwise, you'd just be watching me rolling dice and marking things down. So the first match has Marshall Holman against Johnny Petraglia, and the first ball rolled by Holman is an 8 count, and he leaves the 310. And he fails to convert, misses the 310 entirely. So an open frame to open the match for Marshall Holman, and now we go to Johnny Petraglia. Now the one thing that this version does that a PC version would not do, or this one doesn't do something the PC version would do, this one alternates bowlers back and forth. It doesn't have the bowl one frame, then two, then two, then two. That will be in a PC version that the bowlers will do exactly what they do on the PBA Tour. This is an actual swapping out one for one. So Petraglia now will bowl. His first ball is a 9 count. He leaves the 7 pin and converts the spare. So Johnny Petraglia with an early mark, and Marshall Holman now working off the open gets a strike. And then Johnny Petraglia now making his first ball. He gets a 9 count. Now we'll just walk through this particular one. He rolled a 737, but we are on an oil pattern that's a minus 31 called Snow Leopard. That reduces it to 706. 706 is higher than the 538 you need for a strike, but lower than 814, so he has a 9 count. The finder roll says he leaves the 8 pin, and he converts the spare, and so back-to-back spares for Mr. Petraglia, who now has an 11 pin lead, is Holman now working off a strike. Strikes again. Petraglia now working for his, and he gets a strike. Keeps his 11 pin lead, but that's not going to last for long. And it's a 7 count, and he leaves the 4-6-7. Tough one to pick up. And he gets 2 pins, but not all 3, and so a second open frame for Marshall Holman in this match. And that leaves the door open for Petraglia, who strikes again, gets a double, and we're into the 5th frame. Holman with a strike. Petraglia, another strike. That's a turkey for Petraglia. Holman, 9 count, leaves the 4 pin, converts the spare, and Petraglia now working on 3 in a row, has a 9 count, he leaves the 7 pin and picks it up, and right now has himself a comfortable 35 pin lead, as Holman's going to need strike and strike often, but he hits a 9 count, leaves the 10 pin, and converts it, as Petraglia now will come up, gets a 9 count, leaves the 8 pin, and converts the spare, but retains that 35 pin lead. Holman needs strikes, doesn't get them, leaves the 9 pin, converts the spare, that's 3 9 counts in a row, and Petraglia with a strike here in the 8th. opening up the lead. Holman needs a bunch of strikes. He's not going to get them. He's going to lose this particular game quite easily with another 9 count, 4 in a row for him. Petraglia working on a strike, 9 count, leaves the 9 pin and converts the spare. And finally, a strike for Holman here in the 10th. Second ball is a 9 count. He leaves the 6 pin and converts the spare. And 180, the final score for Marshall Holman. Petraglia already working on a 177 with a spare up. Strikes to open the 10th. 9 count, leaves the 7 pin and converts the spare. And finally wins this match by the score of 217 to 180. So we go over to the tournament thing and we move Mr. Petraglia now into the next ranking as he moves on to face Nelson Burton Jr., Bo Burton. As we go to the next game, we'll just go right into it. So Petraglia will roll first and gets a strike to lead off the game. Bo Burton with a strike. Petraglia, 2 in a row. 9 count, leaves the 2 pin and converts the spare. And already, Petraglia now 3 in a row for Burton. He strikes, trying to keep pace. Petraglia, an 8 count, leaves the 2-4 and converts the spare. As Burton strikes again to try and close the gap. Here in the 5th frame, Petraglia, 9 count, leaving the 9 pin and converting the spare as Burton working on a double. Gets 3 back, gets a turkey, and he's down just 7 pins, but he's working on a strike. And so he's really got himself trailing by 7. 6th frame, Petraglia strikes to stay in the game. Burton, 9 count, leaves the 9 pin and converts the spare. And so it's a 2-pin lead, a slim 2-pin lead for Nelson Burton Jr. here in the 7th frame for Johnny Petraglia. There's a strike. Burton with a 9 count. He leaves the 10 pin and converts the spare. And he now is a 1-pin lead, but Petraglia working on a double. He gets a 7 count, leaving the 1-2-4 and converts the spare. Burton strikes. Burton now with a 6-pin lead. Or Petraglia with a 6-pin lead. Foundation frame, strike for Petraglia. And a strike for Burton. This is going down to the wire, folks. 10th frame now, Petraglia's first ball. 9 count. Leaves the 6 pin and converts the spare. And now Petraglia's quote-unquote fill ball is a 9-pin count, and it's a 223 for Petraglia. Burton is working on a double. Let's see what happens to him. First ball is a strike. 218, he has clinched this match. The 7 count, leaving the 2-4-7 and converting the spare. And Bo Burton winds up winning this one 235 to 223, and he will now move on. Burton moves on, and he will face the number 2 man in the game. That is Mark Roth. The winner is destined for greatness as his Earl Anthony awaits the winner of this match. So we're in match number 3 now. Burton with a first ball strike. Mark Roth with a strike. Burton, a 9 count, leaves the 10 pin and converts the spare. Roth, a 9 count, leaves the 10 pin, converts the spare. Match is all even. A strike for Burton in the 3rd. Roth, a strike in the 3rd. Burton, 9 count, leaving the 2 pin and converting the spare in the 4th. Roth, another strike, taking the lead. Burton, another 9 count, leaving the 10 pin and converting the spare. Roth, another strike, that's 3 in a row. And an 11 pin lead through 5. 6th frame, 9 count, leaving the 10 pin and converting the spare. Burton having some problems here. If this was no tap, this game would be all tied up. First ball strike, 4 in a row for Mark Roth. as he's starting to pull away. Burton answers with a strike to try and keep it close. Roth with strike number 5 in a row. For Nelson Burton Jr., he strikes. Roth strikes again. 6 in a row for Mark Roth. Bo Burton gets a 9 count, leaves the 7 pin, converts the spare in the foundation frame, but Roth walking away with this, but it's a 7 count. It's a split. He leaves the 2-8-10 and fails to convert it and leaves the door open for Nelson Burton Jr. The door is barely open, but it's open. Burton's first ball is a strike. His second ball is a 9 count. He leaves the 10 pin and picks it up, and it's a 207, and Roth already has 215 through the 10th frame, so he had already shut Burton out. I just didn't realize it. So Roth's first ball in the 10th frame is a strike. His second ball is a 9 count. He leaves the 10 pin, he converts the spare, and wins 235 to 207. And now we head to the tournament championship match. The big rivalry, Earl Anthony and Mark Roth. Roth will bowl first. It's a 9 count. He leaves the 7 pin and makes the spare. Anthony, his first ball rolled in anger, is a strike. Roth answers with a strike. Anthony strikes again. That's 2 in a row. Roth, another strike. Anthony, another strike. Roth, another strike. They are stringing them together here in the 4th. That's 4 in a row now for Anthony. 9 count for Roth. He leaves the 5 pin and converts the spare. Anthony continues to roll along. That's 5 in a row. Roth with a strike in the 6th, leaving the pressure on. Anthony with an 8 count. He leaves the 2-4 and converts the spare. Little opening there for Roth. Can Roth keep it up? That's a 9 count. He leaves the 5 pin, makes it. Anthony strikes again. Earl maybe just, Roth with a strike in the 8th. Anthony with a strike in the 8th. Roth, 7 count, leaves a split. Leaves the 4-7-10, fails to convert. Anthony's going to win this. No question, 9 count. He leaves the 7 pin and converts the spare, and he's already up 30 pins going into the final frame. He has shut out Roth. Roth's opening ball of the 10th frame is a 9 count, leaves the 10 pin, converts the spare, and his fill ball is a strike. 207 for Roth. Anthony already has 217 working on a spare. He strikes to open the 10th. He strikes again, and the third ball is an 8 count, and it winds up being a 255. That for some reason the 8 didn't count, but 255 to 207 the final for Earl Anthony. So basically this was a demonstration without really going through the whole process, but you get to see as a potential customer of our PC version or for our dice and cards version that there's a first ball rolled, strike, or a leave. If there's a leave, you do a finder roll on the finder charts, which tells you which pins were left behind, and then each spare has its own spare conversion table right alongside of it. You roll for the spare and you pick it up and score that way. In the PC version, we'll have, if it gets that far, we would have quick play, the ability to play so many games in a row, an entire round, an entire qualifying portion. You can play everything up to the step ladder and then switch over to the ball-by-ball game. You can actually, we're going to set it that if and you'll be able to set this, if a game gets, say, 7 strikes in a row in autoplay, it will switch over for you to watch the match finish out, or you can finish the match by rolling it yourself on screen. There'll be a lot of options, and that's why it's not something we can announce as being for certain. We have to make sure that the programming it can do it and do all the things we want it to do, because we want to make this, if there is a PC version, We want to make it an all-immersive experience for you, the gamer, to feel like you're at the lanes or you're kind of following along on as if you're on PBA.com watching scores for a while and then switching over to video or switching over to Fox TV to watch or FS1 to watch the actual matches play out. So there you have it, the inaugural Chris Schenkel Invitational won by Earl Anthony 255 to 207 over Mark Roth. Interesting in that nobody won 2 games in a row. None of those stepladder guys went beyond their single step after their win. But that's the way the ball bounces sometimes in bowling. So as always, we thank you for your time, your patience, and watching. Hopefully the game interests you. If you're waiting for a PC version, I don't know when if it does happen, I don't know when it's going to come out. Certainly you'd be welcome to wait. If you can't wait, you like what you see, head on over to ASG Games and look at the Hot Stove store and look for Six Pack Bowling. It's available in PDF or print versions, your choice. We offer the all-time great set with the game, and then we also offer 1963, 1978, 1980, and 1994 seasons at present. Other seasons are in the works, including a fictional set called the Association of Professional Bowlers, and another set called the Beer League that will be patterned more after ordinary guys like you and me who roll 200 games every so often, but really are just there for the beer and the pizza and the pretzels and the fun and enjoying and doing all that stuff. So until next time, good night, good bowling. See you again soon. So long, everybody.